Movsar Evloev, the undefeated decision merchant who has some of the most controversial victories in the sport. In spite of all of that, you can't deny that he is great and could find himself fighting for the championship one day, and that might be very soon. For the most part, Movsar stays out of controversy. He rarely trash talks his opponents. He uses little to no antics. It's strictly about the fighting, and perhaps that's what made him get this far in his career. But if there's one aspect of his life that will forever leave a mark on his legacy, a mark that the MMA community will make memes about for eternity, it's his grooming allegations.
She was 17.
Yeah.
I was 23. She was 17.
So basically it's like when you're married like an older woman, she already has her ways, she has her experience, she has her ways set. It's hard.
She has opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you marry younger, it's much easier to,
mold her, make her your wife.
Did I say alleged? Last time I checked, something is only alleged if you don't have conclusive evidence. But this wasn't told by a little birdie. This wasn't told by a salty Aljamain Sterling. This was from Movsar Evloev himself. Well, it was through his translator, but his translator was communicating his words, so it was directly from Movsar. So Movsar undeniably groomed his wife, and before I continue what I'm about to say, let me clarify that I am not a groomer, never have been, never will be. I'm currently 23 years old. I turned 24 in December. I don't see myself going for a girl above the age of 26 and below the age of 19. The right age of consent is a gray area and it varies from country to country. For instance, in South Africa, where I live, the age of consent is 16. So technically, it's legal for a 9th grader to sleep with a 50-year-old. Of course, that isn't right. Primarily because of the age gap. 16 and 50 is just too big to be justified. And if you're a 50-year-old doing that, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're a freaking weirdo and you need counseling. And if anything, I'd argue that a 50-year-old marrying an 18-year-old is by far worse than a 23-year-old marrying a 17-year-old. And it doesn't matter what the age of consent in that country is. The older we get, we become more mature and experienced. When I look at my 16-year-old self compared to who I am right now, two completely different people, and I wasn't ready for a relationship back then. Truth be told, I was a beta male. And if I had dated someone who was significantly older than me, I see them taking advantage of me somehow because let's be honest, we're all wired that way to a certain degree. We may not intentionally want to take advantage of people, but we do it subconsciously. Think about it. You think there's any person out there who doesn't think they're a good person? Of course they're there, but there are also a lot of people that think they're good people, but truth be told, they're not. I'm sure you can think of a time when you confronted someone about an issue you had with them, which they interpreted as an overreaction, a misunderstanding, or at times they go as far as to see themselves as the victim in that instance. Imagine going through that with someone who's significantly older than you, knowing that when you're in your teens, your brain isn't fully developed, you can't articulate your thoughts well, you can't fully grasp experiences because you haven't experienced them enough. It's just not advisable for adults to be dating minors. At least when you're a young adult dating a middle-aged person, I still think it's a bit weird, but you're not inexperienced enough to a point where you can't be held accountable. And even then, I still think 17-year-olds have to be held accountable to a certain degree. I'll tell you some of the experiences I had with my fellow 17-year-olds when I was in high school. I knew this one girl that I liked. She was cool. Asked her out. She accepted the offer. And later on, she called it off. She probably got coerced by her friends. Coerced is a strong word, but I think her friends hated her so much that I have to use that. She would do all sorts of things to try to make me jealous. She was a terrible person. And if I'm being completely honest, in as much as she wanted me to chase her, imagine chasing after someone who's been ran through. Like, let's be real here. Make it make sense. There was this one time I was even at school with her. My friend was there and someone else. We were all chopping it up. I had to leave early. But while I was gone, my friend overheard her calling her blesser. In South Africa, we call sugar daddies blessers, right? So she calls this guy, tells her to come pick her up from school so that they can go do who knows what. And she says before he comes, he should send her money. So the guy sends her money, right? And then she goes. So he probably came to the school looking for her and he couldn't find her. Mind you, this guy is probably above the age of 25 because that's what these girls would go for in high school. I even remember this one time she tried to get the attention of a teacher who was in his mid-40s, if not late. You expect me to see her as the victim in this story. I refuse to do that. Sure, to a certain degree, she might be. Maybe she grew up in a broken home where she didn't get enough love from her dad, so she goes seeking that from somewhere else. But I refuse to believe that these people aren't aware of the decisions they're making, like they're just some infants who were forced into marriage. No, they know the decisions they're making. So in conclusion, I don't support Movsar marrying a 17-year-old, but truth be told, it doesn't bother me as much as it bothers some of you guys, and I wouldn't go as far as to villainize him for it. We also have to keep in mind that cultures are different. For instance, if you were born in Israel, you would most probably be a Zionist. It doesn't matter how pro-Palestinian you are, that is just a fact. So let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.